Hello and welcome to this week's episode of John's Garage. This week we're driving one of Japan's super saloons from the 1990s into the early 2000s. This week we're driving a Toyota Aristo twin turbo with the 2JZ engine, and this particular one is a limited edition Vertex. So let's get on with it. Let's have a look around the car, let's take it for a spin, and we'll find out a little bit more about the Aristo. Okay, a little bit about the Aristo and why it might look like a Lexus GS300. They're actually in some ways very, very different cars. So the Lexus GS300 is what was exported outside of Japan. The Toyota Aristo is what was sold in Japan. It's the JDM model, you could only buy them there. A couple of other significant differences here. The basis of this car was also used as the Toyota Crown, and that also was fitted with the 3-litre straight-six twin turbo. However, in the Crown it was the 1JZ, and in the Aristo it's the 2JZ. And that's important because the 2JZ comes with twin turbochargers and they're ceramic turbochargers as well. From factory it develops around, according to a gentleman's agreement between manufacturers in Japan, they all said it developed around 270 horsepower stock. More realistically, it was around 300, 320. But this particular one pumps out 400 horsepower due to a modified engine ECU that was fitted in Japan before it was exported. So it's chipped essentially. And boy, does it have a kick in the backside, okay? A couple of other interesting things about this car, apart from those ceramic twin turbos, and we'll talk about those in a few minutes. It also has four-wheel steering, and the owner tells me there's a switch on the dashboard that you can hit on and off, which means if you hit that switch, the four-wheel steering turns off, and so do all the traction aids, which that can be fun. Okay, you might be wondering, what does Vertex mean in this particular model? Okay, it's not something that's meaningful for people here in Ireland. So Vertex means it essentially has a couple of optional extras, generally body styling, interior comfort and convenience, that sort of thing. So in the case of this car, it means it has velour sport seats, which are very, very comfortable indeed. It also has satellite navigation. It has a nice darkened or ash wood trim in the dashboard, which is quite nice. It also has an uprated JBL sound system as well. So it's quite a nice place to be. I will say, in fact, it's quite a dark place to be. Now, a couple of other points on this car. So this car obviously has been modified a touch. Normally I have, we'll say, regular cars on the channel, but this week we're going for something really different, okay? Where has it been modified? What modifications have been done? First of all, that is actually a carbon fiber bonnet. It weighs nothing. It's got to be the lightest bonnet I've ever lifted on any car. Obviously the alloys are done. The headlamps are aftermarket as well. When we move to the interior, pretty stock. The only thing in the interior that's a little bit slightly modified, it's not modified, there's a TRD gear shifter fitted. It shows it's a manual, but it is actually an automatic. Now, interesting point that, okay? These are very easy to convert from automatic to manual, and a lot of owners choose to do so. And that might be something the owner of this car does in the future. But for now, it's automatic and it absolutely shifts gorgeously. You can have manual control over the shifts in second, third and fourth, but after that then the automatic takes over and decides what's going on, I suppose, as the car will be going at high speed, okay? Other modifications to the car, it has Gen 4 Supra brake disc fitted all round, and other than that, it's a really tidy handler. It's a beautiful car to drive. It's quite powerful, I'm not going to lie. But let's have a little look under the bonnet and see how we get on there and see what we can see. Little flips there on the bonnet. It's pretty novel, I suppose, pretty different. And you come around here, we find the bonnet switch, we give that a pull. Close the door. Want to make sure we don't cause any damage to the owner's car as well, so we have to be very careful about this. And of course, these are the kind of things I'd go through with the owner prior to taking their car. And over here then we have our little arm to keep the bonnet open. And as you can see, folks, there's a lot to be seen underneath this bonnet, okay? Number one, blue obviously isn't the factory color. That's been just, I suppose, enhanced a little bit. Now, currently there's an induction kit on this and an uprated intercooler as well. These, however, the owner tells me he's going to remove. He's actually going to go from twin turbo to single turbo. And some say that might liberate 700 horsepower from this engine. I'd like to think the owner's correct in what they're saying, because This is a beautiful, beautiful platform. Now, you might be able to hear a helicopter flying over me, folks. Sorry if that interferes with the sound. If it doesn't interfere, even better again, okay? You can see there's a fairly hefty strut brace here as well going across the engine bay. And as I said, there's also an uprated, there goes the army in their helicopter. There's also an uprated ECU as well in this car. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that the struts and the firewall are white. And that's because this particular car was resprayed. Okay, originally from the factory it was a white colored car, and then it was converted, or resprayed I should say, to, according to the owner, Mercedes metallic black. And it looks quite well in it as well, I might add. Anyway, apart from all that, all right, what do we have here? We have tons of power, okay? Currently, the owner, as I said, makes out this is giving out about 400 horsepower. I have zero reason not to believe them after taking it for a drive. It feels every bit like it's giving out 400 horsepower. Also, as I said, you can see the fibre of the carbon fibre bonnet as well when you look underneath. The top has been sprayed, but underneath you can see it's carbon fibre, all right, okay? And that's pretty much it under this bonnet. Now, this engine, I haven't mentioned it yet, but for the eagle-eyed among you, 3-litre twin turbo. Where have we heard of the 1JZ before? And that's in the 4th generation Toyota Supra, the legendary Supra. This car with this engine and this setup is also known as the 4-door Supra, and it handles like one. It's obviously a bit bigger, a little bit more weight, but boy can this car shift. It's got great handling, it's easily modified, it's easily uprated, and even better than that, Gen 4 Supras are making massive money. These cars, they're not. Even importing one right now from Japan, it's cheaper to import one of these than the 4th Gen Supra by about half. Even more if you're savvy and select the right car. So these are an incredible car to have. As I said, you can have loads of fun under the bonnet of this car. You can have loads of fun with the suspension. You can have loads of fun in the interior because it's massive. It's kind of the family man messer's car, if you will. But anyway, let's have a little look at the interior and have a talk about what we see in there. Okay, so let's talk interior here in the Aristo V300, which is the model designation of this particular one. We have an automatic gearbox. We've lovely, gorgeous backlit dials. This particular car is currently at about 150,000 kilometers. We also have this, what would have been at the time a very, very advanced infotainment system and entertainment system. There's satellite navigation. Your temperature is all controlled off this touchscreen, of course with backup buttons as well, just in case it would fail. You have a 6 CD charger in the boot. You also have tape deck up here. And again, what else do you have in here? You can input service information as well on these cars. I've watched videos on YouTube where owners can input service information. So when the car was serviced, what was done, and set service reminders and the likes. So it's quite an early system of that. It is a JBL system. So again, very good sound in this particular car. Now, back to that gearbox for 1 second. I forgot to mention this. It's not a flappy paddle system, but you do have buttons up here on the steering wheel to change gear. And as I said, again, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, you can change gear there. So the buttons on this side shift down, and there's a corresponding button on the rear which shifts up, and that's on both sides of the steering wheel. You also have automatic lights, cruise control, all automatic windows all around, so one touch button essentially. And of course, as I said, there's this gorgeous velour interior material on the seats. Now, you might be saying to yourself, why on earth does a luxury car not have leather seats? Well, back in the day, in the Japanese market, it wasn't necessarily back in the day, in the Japanese market, velour is actually considered more luxurious than leather. The reason being is, velour, number one, is soft. Number two, it's always warm. You don't get sweaty. You don't sit in the cold day and freeze your backside. Don't sit in the hot day and burn your backside. So it's considered a much more luxurious material. Also, if you think back to the 60s and 70s, cheaper cars always had vinyl, okay, and even into the early 80s. So it was always seen as more luxurious and a step up to have soft furnishings inside in the car, same as your home. You have a little place up here for your sunglasses. Again, nice big vanity mirrors if you're into that sort of thing, with lights. The owner has fitted an LED interior light here as well, just in case that's showing up in camera. What else do you have? You have a power button here for the gearbox. You also have a snow setting. You have a button here to turn off traction control. And the owner has also fitted this little switch here. If you fancy lighting up your rear tires, switching off the steering, the four-wheel steering and stuff like that, that button essentially kills all of that kind of stuff. Handbrake is in under here as well if you wish to activate it and turn it off also. In the rear, there's nothing much to see really in the rear, apart from massive amount of space. There's loads of space, but that's pretty much it. That's all the rear has really. This car is also fitted with a turbo timer, so if you hit the ignition to turn off the car, the turbos will stay spooling away for about, or the engine will stay ticking away for about 30 seconds just to cool off the ceramic turbos so that you don't suffer from turbo failure as well. And finally, the last thing in here is this massive armrest which conceals a very big storage bin. As well as that, you also have a fairly large glove box in here also. All in all, it's a really nice place to be. It's actually quite comfortable. Smells like a Toyota, feels like a Toyota, but that's what it is. It is a Toyota. Now, as I said, a similar car to this was offered here in Ireland. That was the Lexus GS 300, but that never came with a twin turbo. It was a straight 6 engine, 3 litres, lots of power, but it didn't actually have the twin turbos in it at all. So very, very nice car in that way. Aimed at a more luxurious market, certainly had nice handling, but this had the power and the handling. This was pretty much the top of the range. But of course, outside of Japan, they didn't think there'd be a market for a car like this. Now, the original Aristo or GS 300 wasn't really a huge hit in the market. In Japan, it launched into the midst of a massive recession in 1992. Outside of Japan, sports saloon from Toyota or Lexus, whatever brand you want to call it, just the market wasn't there. But with this particular model, they did have a huge amount of success, mainly because it really had the power to back up the handling and everything else as well. So kudos to Toyota. Back in the 90s, they had a super saloon on their hands. They just didn't tell anybody outside Japan about it. Other than that, what else do we have? We have power fold mirrors. Apparently, and I've just spotted this right now, if I was back in Japan, I would actually be able to get TV on this infotainment, on this multimedia system. So that's pretty cool as well. And of course, you have airbags all around for the usual safety features. But let's take this for a drive, I think. Okay, so driving the Aristo. It's a big car, I'm not going to lie. Very, very big car, but of course, why wouldn't it be? It's based on a luxury saloon from Japan. And of course, in that area, size matters. If you're going to have a luxury saloon, you want something big. What else can I tell you about it? Don't worry about that. That's just all JDM cars come with an alarm to tell you you're in reverse. Why, I don't know. Now, in case you're hearing a little squeak, okay, one of the calipers is sticking a little bit. No. Okay. So how does this car handle? Well, of course, this one's been enhanced a little bit, so it's very, very solid on the road, but not too solid. You're not bouncing around as if it's got cut springs, but you certainly know you're driving something a little bit more powerful. You can probably hear the absolutely gorgeous exhaust note coming out of the rear of this car. Tell you, if I was 17 and had one of these, I'll tell you, if I was 17 and had one of these, I probably wouldn't be here today. Let's be honest about it. Loads of power in the car, loads, very, very responsive. Everything's nice and chunky and meaty though, which I like. Nice big gearbox, nice decent sized steering wheel, plenty of power, and you can hear her just spooling up there. Well able to go, well able to move. No issues in that regard. Yeah, it's a pretty cool car. I actually like the paintwork. Generally, I'm not a big fan of cars being resprayed, but I think the respray suits this. You got black on black interior, black exterior, tinted windows. Of course, it's gorgeous in that sense. As I say, there's a lovely button on the dashboard here which switches everything off. And if I was a few years younger and all that, I might be doing a few donuts, but that's not for John's garage today, okay? The sports styles are gorgeous though, I have to say. These are really, really nice. The backlighting on them it's nice and soft in your eyes. It's not glaring, it's not in your face or gaudy or anything like that. It's pretty good. Apart from that, switches are all really big, really easy to use. But I suppose, what is this car? Okay, I've described it as a bit of a Japanese super saloon. It's a 4-door Supra, all right? You have other cars like the Toyota Chaser and so on and so forth. You have the Soar, which is the Toyota Soar, which is essentially the luxury version or the comfort version of the Toyota Supra Mark IV, or Gen 4 Supra, as I should say. And this is the 4-door Gen 4 Supra, especially with that 3-litre twin turbo up front. Very nice car in terms of responsiveness. but also more than that, it's so easily tunable. This engine, you can have tons of power coming out of this engine if you want, which I'm going to need to get out of this notoriously hard to get out of junction. Here we go. Oh, feel that. Little dump valve going on there, giving me a little bit of a as I moved off there. Yeah, this car, I'm going to just say I've just driven a little bit through down there. It certainly gets the looks. Every young lad, every young one, fathers, daughters, everybody, they've all had a little look at this car. Yeah, it certainly attracts attention. Not one for somebody who's modest, we'll put it that way. But certainly for the gentleman racer, if I could put it that way. But in all seriousness, this really is an enthusiast car. As I say, you can modify this car, you can tune it, you can keep it original, it doesn't matter. It's just a nice car to have, it's a nice car to drive. Really interesting bit of kit, and I'm really delighted that the owner gave me the opportunity to drive this car. They tell me it's been imported since 2013, and over the years it's been lightly enhanced, lightly modified. Apart from the intercooler, I don't see much really that's been done to it. It's probably dropped a little bit in coilovers, as well as nice alloys fitted, but overall it's a pretty nice car, and I'm delighted that the owner gave me the opportunity to take this for a drive and see what it can do. I'm really conscious there's supposed to be a speed van up here, so I'm not willing to break the speed limit. I'm not even close to the speed limit. With that in mind, let's give it a little bit of welly before we sign off. Oh, that is nice. That is nice. That's what you want when you want a little bit of power. It's just a solid wall building up, you know? Wow. Okay, I'm going to do that once more, and then we'll go. Let me just slow down a little bit. As I say, I'm not into messing with other people's cars. I wouldn't like it done to my own, but let's see what this can do. Woo! Woo! Whoa! Fast. It's really fast. Yeah, as I say, thanks very much to the owner for giving me the opportunity to take it for a drive. It is now bucketing rain, so I don't know whether that's going to interfere with the sound or not. Listen, we'll see you all next week, folks. Let me know if you want to see more modified cars. Let me know that. I'd like to know that. As I say, this is an enthusiast channel for every single motorist in Ireland. I know I've had a lot of classic cars on. I've had a lot of modern cars on. Let me know, do you want modified cars? Do you want to see these cars a little bit more? As I say, it's really interesting. The owner has a bit of a story to tell with it. You can see the modifications they've been making along the way. Let's just shift down. No, it doesn't work. I'm going too fast. But yeah, let me know what you want to see. Do you want to see more of this, or do you want to see less of this? Let me know. Talk to you again, folks. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and so on and so forth. Bye-bye.